Hello friends, welcome to Java AWT tutorial. Now we are in the final part of the video, drawing with AWT graphics and mouse. Here in this video, we are going to perform a rubber banding for our existing application. This video uses the already created frame window. So you can refer the video here. The playlist is 04. Very first video in that playlist shows how to create frame window. Then in this series, sub-series, we already covered 5 parts, and now we are in the 6th part. That means part 5. We started it from 0. Here we are going to perform rubber banding for line and rectangle. So to perform rubber banding, user will click their mouse here to place a check mark. Then they may either click draw or rect to see the rubber band. So let us say that user placed a check mark here, then they clicked this draw line button. Mode will show line draw. So what happens? First we will register our point 1 PT1 here. So previously we saw freehand, right? It's almost the same, but in freehand, on each mouse drag we will recreate this PT1 and PT2 and we start the drawing. But here the PT1 is fixed. So let's say that user dragged their mouse like this. So for example, let us say user dragged their mouse. PT1 is fixed and PT2, let's say user is dragging like this. So this is the direction they dragged, and let's assume that this will produce drag event at different location. And we will say that this is where they fixed their final point P2. So what happens? We like to draw a line between PT1 and from the mouse event E. Let's say that E1, E2. So this E1, E2 are from mouse dragged handler. We get different mouse event E1, E2, E3, E4, and this will be our final one. Let's say this is a PT2 I mean. So what happens, we want to show the line to the user, stating that when they move their mouse along with their mouse, we want to show a stretched line. So if you see, this line is bigger than this one and this one is bigger than this one. So that's why we call this as a rubber banding. So the line stretching along with the moving mouse cursor. So one end is fixed and another one is stretched along with the mouse cursor. It will be stretched or shrinked based on your mouse movement. And let us say user move their mouse here and they will release it. So in that case, we want to finalize the line. So once they release their mouse here, this will become PT2. And a final line will be drawn between these 2 points. So this intermediate line, so this is what called rubber banding. So the same holds true for rectangle also. Let us say user picked PT1 here and they picked PT2 here. And let's assume that this is their drag direction. and we will also assume that it produced two events in between during the mouse drag. Let's say that's this one is E1 and this one as E2. So here what we want to do, we want to draw intermediate rectangle when those events are produced. So the first rectangle will appear like this. Then when a user is moving their mouse, the rectangle will be stretched, and once they finalize with the PT2, we will get our final rectangle. So let's say user moved here, so what happens, and they release their mouse. So during that time we will get a rectangle. So this will be the final rectangle. So it helps user when they are moving their mouse, they came to know how their rectangle look. So once they see that a perfect size of rectangle appear, they will release their mouse. So that's the usage of rubber banding. Now let us implement this in our existing application. So as you already saw in the theory part in the PowerPoint, we need to perform this rubber banding in mouse dragged. So first let us add a comment. So here if you see, first we are making a conditional check. So this condition checks whether the drawing mode is line D. So we will do the same stuff for a rectangle also. First let us concentrate on a line, rubber banding of line I mean. So the first check is the drawing mode should be line D, and there should be a check mark in the rubber banding checkbox which we have in the UI. So when both condition meets, we perform our rubber banding. So if you see here, first we are getting the graphics from our frame window. This is just like how we performed our freehand drawing. Here we are using the get graphics, right? But here we are using the get graphics and we are storing that in a reference. Why? Because we want to change the color to light gray. So the rubber banding line will appear in light gray, and once user releases their mouse, they will see the real line in a thick black color. Alright, so after that we are just storing the second point from our mouse drag event. So if you see here, we are not concentrating on the first point. Why? Because that is fixed, and we have that first line during our mouse pressed event. So first line is ready, first point is ready. I mean, sorry, I am telling line. So first point is ready for the line, and here we fix our second point. Since both points are ready, now we can perform a line, I mean a line drawing. Here we are making call to paint. So we know what our paint will do. It will just check the drawing mode, and now it sees that drawing mode as a line, and it performs a line drawing between first point and second point. The paint method doesn't even know that it is actually performing a rubber banding line. So all it knows is what is the command mode. So if it is line D, I have to connect first point and second point, and if it is Rect D, it needs to calculate the width, then connect the top left with the with the calculated second point. I mean the calculated second point in the sense the width will be calculated based on first point and second point. So this will just perform the rect. Freehand also it just performs a drawing between point 1 and point 2. Here since we are at line D mode, so that's all the paint graphics, this paint method knows. It knows that we are in line D mode. That means I need to draw a line between first point and second point. It never knows it is drawing a rubber banding line or a permanent line. Alright, so here in the mouse dragged, that's what we are doing. We are just changing the color of the drawing to light gray. Then we are setting the second point. When we make a call to paint GR, the paint method connects the first point with the second point by making use of the draw line API. Now here we will see one issue, but we will first run so that you come to know what is the issue we are facing. So let me save it. So it's build automatically is selected, so there is no error, we can launch it. So first let me draw a line in a normal mode, and if you see here I am picking one point, then I am dragging my mouse to some direction, then I am releasing it here. So user doesn't see any line, right? Once I release, then only they will see the line. So rubber banding will help they see line always, and they can know how their line appear before they release their mouse button. So let me click here rubber banding, then I will pick some point here, and if you see the line appears here, but so the line is drawn. Let me show it once again. So this rubber banding is not useful, right? Because there are line in between. So to fix this, what we have to use, so we just introduce these two statements to fix the rubber banding issue. So if you see here, we are setting the XR mode, then we are setting the XR mode with the background color. The background color of the frame window is white. Then here we are performing the draw line. And if you see here, we are connecting the first point and second point. That means whatever is drawn previously, or the whatever is the line which was drawn by the paint method. So here we are calling paint right at the end. So whatever, once again I am reiterating, here we get mouse event for the latest mouse pointer position. So this first point and second point, note here. So the latest point we are storing here only. That means before that, this will be the first and second point of the previous mouse drag move. So we are performing a line drawing, and we set XR mode with a background color of white. So what happens, it draws on top of the gray line, and it alternates the bits. That means the previously drawn line will get erased, or it will be redrawn with white color. That means it's ultimately erasing. So let's say that let's consider this border. So this is the blue color border, right? Now if I draw on top of this blue color border with white color, that means it is already ultimately erasing this blue color line. So in each drag we erase the previously drawn line, and we draw a new line with the gray color. See here we are setting the XR mode to get background. That means when you draw a line on already drawn gray color, so here also it will perform gray color only. Why? Because the color what we are setting to the graphics is gray color. So when you draw a line first time, it will be gray color, and if you draw the same gray color on the same line, it will alternate to background, and if you draw on that once again, it will alternate to gray color. So that's the use of get background. So here when we are drawing, we are overwriting on the already drawn line, so it performs the XOR operation on the already drawn gray line. So that erases the gray line and performs a line with a background color. That means white. White is the background color of our frame window. After that, here if you see, we are setting the second point to the new mouse drag location. Then we are making call to paint graphics. So the paint method. So here in the paint method, since no line was previously drawn in this new point to location, we will get a gray color line. But in the next drag, the mouse will get a new position, and this line, gray line, will be drawn once again. But because of this XR mode, that gray line will get erased. Alright, now we will test this. And if you see, it is picking something from the origin. We have to fix that as well. But what you are seeing here is the rubber banding. Let's fix that and come back here. So here we will introduce a condition that states that second point dot x and y should not be the origin. So that will fix the issue. Now if I run, you won't see that problem. So this is what called rubber banding. So you can see that the line stretches along with the mouse cursor. So once I release my mouse, you can see that line that's drawn permanently. So this will be our second line. Alright, now we will do the same thing for drawing the rectangle. So we have to perform the same operation here. Let me explain this. So here we are checking line. Similarly, here we are checking whether it is Rect. Then we are checking that drag mode checkbox is checked. So if that is the case, we are getting the graphics. Then we are setting the color to light gray. Then this same condition check we are performing. You know why we are checking that. Then we are setting the XR mode. And so this is the same standard rectangle drawing which we already performed here in this Rect. So we are getting the top left. After that we are performing the drawing. So second point here we are calculating, and we are making call to paint graphics. Alright, so the same stuff what we did for the line, that's what we are doing here for rectangle. Now we will examine this once. This time I will place a rubber banding here and I will perform a draw rect. And you can see the rectangle is drawn and it is moving along with my mouse cursor. So here if you see, since we are calling the repaint, the previously drawn rectangle will be erased. So I am stopping here. This is our final part of the video. So if you want to extend, you can extend further by holding all these object in a data structure, then performing the drawing. And we can even further extend it by serializing this stuff into a file, then reloading it. So all those stuff you can extend, but since here in this sub-series we are learning the graphics, we hope this is enough, and we can stop here. So I hope now you will understand how we performed the XOR operation and how we erased the intermediate line so that we produced a smooth rubber banding for line drawing as well as rectangle drawing. That's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.